another thing I wanted to get into, Lepore, is the play of Oilers defenseman and former Leaf Tyson Barrie, who right now
Leafs legend.
Leafs legend Tyson Barrie, who right now is second in the NHL in scoring among defensemen behind Victor Hedman, after he was a pretty big disappointment for the most part with the Leafs last season. We know he performed a little bit better after Sheldon Keefe took over the head coaching job, but I mean, man, he is just absolutely balling out right now with the Oilers.
He's having a good time. Yeah, good for Barrie. I mean, I think Barrie's one of those guys. Things were not going well for him with Babs. There was all those rumors that it even went as far as he asked for a trade. Then Keefe came in, and as you mentioned, like things did go pretty well for him, at least from the standpoint of putting up points. But he just never became what we hoped he would be. It's actually kind of funny. Remember the first take when we got Barrie? It was like, well, the Leafs can't afford him. He's going to want 8 times 8. And just to think of that idea now of like Tyson Barrie getting a $64 million contract is absolutely bananas. And I don't know, like I think all Leafs fans would agree that where we put that money in TJ Brody is more of what we needed, just from a standpoint of a defensive player. Like even if Brody even gets nominated for a Norris Trophy, because let's face it, it's about points and it's stupid like that. So I think even if that happened, no one would really be that upset because we know what we needed at the time. I don't know, but has Brody always kind of benefited? And maybe he's a smart guy. So who's he played for, Bruno? Colorado. Not that he chose to play with Colorado, but okay, Colorado, high-paced team. Get the puck up to those forwards. Go. He's gonna get points. Then he comes to Toronto, and it's like again. A lot of talent.
Similar team.
Yeah, a lot of guys can score.
Offense.
Yeah, power play should get numbers. And then he's in a situation where he can try to save his brand. And where does he go? Guy's not stupid. He went to Edmonton for that 1-year deal, and he's feeding the puck up the ice to 2 of the best players in the universe, and he's getting a shit ton of points. So good for him. I mean, I think what people say about Barrie too is that he put up with a lot of shit in Toronto, whether he deserved it or not. And I'll give the guy credit in the way that, like, he never showed attitude. He never gave that, like, woe is me, shrugged his shoulders thing when asked a question about his play or his relationship with Babs. He answered all the questions properly. I heard him in an interview once. I think it was on Spin Chicklets, and he did say at the time about how excited he was to go to Toronto. Like, he was at a restaurant when he got the call, and he was stoked to have that opportunity to go to the Leafs. So I'm happy for the guy. Like, he's doing well, and he's a good fit in Edmonton. So I'll be intrigued to see what he does, whether it's one of those cases where he just looks out for the huge payday based on his production, or if he just knows he has a really good thing in Edmonton. And if they want him to stay and they want to commit to him, if he decides that it's a good place for him as well.
Yeah, I like Tyson Barrie. I've always been a fan of his. And when the Leafs traded for him, I'm on the record. I really liked that trade. I've talked about it so many times. The Leafs dealt from a position of strength. They acquired someone who has proven to be really one of the best power play quarterbacks over the last 4 to 5 years in the NHL. Now, is he as good as John Carlson or Victor Hedman, guys like that? No, but he has obviously shown that if you put him with talented players, whether it's Colorado, the Leafs, Edmonton, this dude is going to rack up points on the power play. So,
and maybe he skates better than those two guys too. I mean, he can move. So
he's a great skater. He's got a ton of skill. So I'm not too surprised, because honestly, if you get an opportunity to run that Oilers power play, a lot of the times you're just going to pick up points almost by accident.
Yeah.
Really? Right. You're going to pick up secondary assists. McDavid and Draisaitl are the guys that are running that power play, even though they're not on the point.
Yeah.
Right. Those are the guys that are making everything happen. And, not to take anything away from Tyson Barrie, he's had a fantastic bounce back season. And even if you look at a guy like Darnell Nurse, he's been awesome. 11 goals this year.
Yeah.
And I really like his all around game. He can be physical. He blocks shots. He's solid defensively. He can obviously chip in offensively. Even he's getting an opportunity now to run the power play at times. Yeah. So
he stands up for his teammates too.
Yeah. I mean, that's a guy that I think any team in the NHL would love to have. But when it comes to Tyson Barrie, I mean, it'll be very interesting to see what happens, because I would not even think about giving this guy a 7-year deal for, $7-8 million. I think that would be a disaster. To give a guy like that a long-term contract at this point, because when I look at his all-around game, I still think that he does have holes. And I think it was more magnified when we were able to watch him sort of on a nightly basis playing for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So
yeah, that doesn't help.
yeah, exactly. Right. But I thought you made a really good point where the money was better spent on TJ Brody, because man, I have been so impressed with TJ Brody this year, but it's not even about, how well TJ Brody's been playing. It's that the Leafs already had their Tyson Barrie in Morgan Riley.
Yeah.
They didn't really need another guy like that. And, as much as Kyle Dubas probably loved the, underlying numbers when it came to Tyson Barrie, not just the underlying numbers, his raw, stat
skill,
totals,
talent. Yeah.
Yeah. And everything you see even just watching the guy play. But at the end of the day, when you have Morgan Riley who can do all those things and run the top power play unit, having a Tyson Barrie just isn't going to be as impactful. Right. And I think it just wasn't a good fit. It just wasn't a good fit with the Leafs. And, kudos to him for having a nice bounce back season. I'm sure he's going to collect a sweet little payday at the end of the year when he becomes an unrestricted free agent. And I'm sure he's probably going to want to stay in Edmonton and continue playing with those elite players. So at the end of the day, it's good on Tyson Barrie. And, I'm sure he's going to continue to play well with the Oilers for the rest of the season.
Yeah.